are there ongoing research or developments in the field of regenerative medicine and that are going to impact the application in sport horses?
Very
Alex was
much
so excited about this when I asked her
So
initially.
I think this is something that myself, sort of within the space is really excited about, and also sort of as a company we're really excited about. And I think that is the potential for gene therapies in horses, particularly in the context of osteoarthritis. So at this stage, from a regulatory point of view, gene therapy is not allowed in horses.
And why is that? What is the official?
So I think it's to do with this fear of this unfair advantage, and I think we are just reaching the tip of what is possible with gene therapies. I think in some of the jurisdictions, if you look at the legislation really, really carefully, you can sort of interpret it, or some of the lawyers who've looked at it have said, in a regenerative medicine context with special permission, potentially it'll be allowed. My view is within
such a vague.
No, I know. Although everything regulation-wise with gene therapy is vague. Okay. But I think gene doping is more of the issue. They've sort of identified certain genes that are involved in performance, and now if you're going to edit horses' DNA to run faster, you can just imagine the number of problems.
I think we should do it. I want to see how fast a horse can go. Why not? At least you're your own boss. I can't get you fired, Alex.
No, it is one of the benefits. It is one of the benefits.
Yeah.
But I think where the regulation is going to have to catch up to the research is in the context of gene therapy and the potential it holds for arthritis. So
and surely well-being.
And well-being, but I think it's always a fine line, because whenever you've got a tool that is that powerful, there's always the risk of it being abused.
Of course, yeah.
And I think that's sort of the fine line you have to walk. But osteoarthritis, both in an equine setting and obviously also in a human setting, is one of the biggest unmet clinical needs that exists.
Now, there's not really any treatment, right? There's just, when I say treatment,
symptomatic management.
Exactly.
Symptomatic management and things like knee replacements. Sort of a few things you can do here and there, and then really, really invasive, massive interventions. So one of the models that sort of is already in the process of being researched, and there's some early validation for, is basically, as I think we mentioned earlier, one of the biggest pro-inflammatory proteins that are involved, especially in horses in the case of osteoarthritis, humans also, is this interleukin-1, which is a pro-inflammatory protein. So there is a certain gene that exists that is responsible for producing the protein that is the antagonist to that bad protein, so the protein that would neutralize it. Okay. So in the context of gene therapy, you would be taking this targeted gene, or this gene you're trying to target, and you deliver it into the cells of the affected joint through the use of a viral vector, which is just like a delivery mechanism. Incredible. And then the idea is that it's with this... Exactly, it's envelope. The idea is that with this gene delivery system, you would introduce this gene that would neutralize inflammation into the cells. For the people who did biology, DNA gets transcribed into RNA, and the end result is a protein is expressed. And what you'd have is the expression of this protein that would be an antagonist for this interleukin-1. So it's basically, and these cells would just pump out that protein. So you'd basically be injecting or delivering a target gene into the cells of a joint that would pump out IRAP.
That's incredible.
On an ongoing basis. And I think when you get into the realm of... It
becomes its own little ecosystem.
Exactly.
I mean, that's incredible.
When you get into the realm of that type of regenerative medicine, I think there's a very high probability of seeing curative type responses.
That's incredible.
I think it's too early to tell sort of, is it going to be a one and done type therapy? Will it need multiple doses? But
I mean, there are a lot of equestrians. I think the majority of equestrians have a bit of arthritis somewhere in their bodies.
So there's
very exciting.
There's a company in the States called Regenesis that's already got a gene therapy candidate for this in phase 2 clinical trials. And they did, I stand to be corrected, I think it was with the University of California, their preclinical model was done in horses for this type of gene therapy. So, the sort of very basic proof of concept is out there, and I think that's the type of
future
innovation
we have to look forward to.
I think when we first had IRAP, however many decades
and
it was
I
ago,
was about to say,
that was an amateur hour, and now we're just going into a totally different
It's just
realm
exponential, right, though? I mean, you blink and there's a new progression.
I think sort of, the sort of discovery and the subsequent development of these gene editing tools, CRISPR, base editing, prime editing, microRNA, it's unlocked a totally different level of opportunity and potential intervention. I mean, we're seeing in the human side diseases that were previously uncurable being cured with 95% success rates. It's unbelievable.